This isn't your typical motorsports podcast. You're listening to Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by High Octane Coffee and J Concepts. A show where we take you inside the minds of your favorite drivers, past and present, of the monster truck industry. And now, your hosts, Brad Shaw and Dan Chichagash. Buckle in. The show starts now.
And welcome to a brand new episode of Crush This, the Monster Truck Podcast. My name is, as always, Brad Shaw, a.k.a. the Monster Truck Canucker. And with me, as always, for the last 6 years, Mr. Dan Chichagash. Dan, by the way, thank you for taking control of the episode last week with all the issues I had with my computer. How's it going today, buddy?
Oh man, it's going pretty good. I'm trying to get if everyone can hear me good. Okay. So hey man, it's going pretty well. Enjoying the time. Last week we were in Ohio for some food drives and stuff like that. So want to thank everyone that's been watching our podcast and listening to our podcast. Please, if anyone's new, like our Facebook page, like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube page. Give us 5-star reviews on iTunes. 11 people have gave us 5-star reviews on iTunes, so thank you very much. Figured out about Spotify too. I brain farted on what we had, but thank you again. That's a lot going on, and so please keep the love, watch, and everything like that. And yeah, man, I'm excited for the 4th of July weekend for here in America, and gonna hang out with some group of people. And Friday, me, Nuge, and I think Nader are gonna go to here in Rantoul. They opened up a big baseball, football, soccer park type deal. And hold on one second. Hey, Nuge.
Yeah.
Who's that baseball player that came over? Remember that baseball player Mark was talking about for the Cubs? Some high-profile baseball player that everyone talked about was there a couple days ago. But anyway, we're going to be there to help the veterans out and donations and stuff like that to help them for a Veterans Memorial here in Rantoul, Illinois. If anyone else doesn't know Rantoul, Illinois, it's the home of Chinook Air Force Base over there. But we'll be doing that. So outside of that, man, I want to thank everyone that help us out.
Yeah, well, I might as well update you guys on kind of what's going on with me a little bit. Some of you guys are friends with me on Facebook and not. I just kind of, want to just let you guys know I got, I don't want this to be a sad thing. I'm trying to reverse it, but I have type 2 diabetes. I got diagnosed last week. It's definitely going to be a struggle. So if you guys pray or whatever, good thoughts, just, keep me in those. It definitely was a shocker last week, and I'm doing good. Besides that, mentally, I'm okay. Again, thanks to Cheech for, taking control of the last couple episodes. It's, he's been kicking ass. So I'm very, excited to, get back on the episodes and get healthy. That's what the plan is right now. And I'm hopefully going to be, if Cheech is at the U.S. Nationals this year for the NHRA, him and me are going to be hanging out. So there's the possibility of me going down to the U.S. Nationals this year. So
hopefully,
keep an eye out. Yeah, well, it's going to happen no matter what. It's happening.
Well, I mean, for you, we'll see. For me, I just never know with the busy schedule. Everything's ball is going on. Hopefully, I hope we get a chance to do that because we've been doing it for the last couple of years. We normally do a DS, the Don Schumacher Racing block party, our open house deal, and we get there about Friday. But once again, Brad, hope everything gets better. Better eating. Start. It's a mental game as much as a physical game, and hope the best for you. And the same thing with me too. I'm not the best shape as I am, so Maybe I need to start doing that too. Kurt's been talking to me about this boxing program that's over there in Champaign, so I'm gonna try to start that stuff too. But once again, thank you to High Octane Coffee, Joey Sylvester. Watch out for his Outlaw Thunder Drag. I screwed it up, but Outlaw Drag Monster Truck Racing that's coming out soon here. Also want to thank J Concepts, Justin Story. He has a book out called Making Tracks. Awesome comic book, $10 on Amazon. Go check that out. It's pretty cool stuff. Go look at that. Bat Channel Productions. A certain monster truck came to play in the Renegade Tour last weekend, so you'll probably get to see that when they do the Ohio show. And he won racing Saturday night, so that was pretty cool. Gremlin hit him pretty good on Saturday afternoon, but so take a look at his videos. Are be coming up on YouTube, the roundup, and probably have more product going here too. Also, 6B Apparel, our crew shirts, once again $100 a pop. Message me or Brad. It's gonna have the retro look or the old school logo that we had about my Pittsburgh kicks in 2017 2018 type deal logo. So take a look at that. JB Scale Graphics, officially licensed graphics of Bigfoot, Bad Habit, Against the Grain, Obsessed, much more. I am gonna keep on pushing for this giveaway that I'm gonna plan on doing. I don't know what to do with it. Like, guys, I told you guys to message me any ideas, whatnot. It's gonna be a Bad Habit LMT, Horizon LMT RC truck. So I already got the body already worked out. JB Scale Graphics is already donating the wrap and the body for it. I just contacted J Concepts to see if we can get some tires and rims, and then I'll just go get a LMT and donate it. So we gotta do it big. And heck, all the other podcasts want to chip in and get into this contest also. So, we'll try to have someone have some fun and have a winner. But I want to thank J Concepts, Bad Habits, Joey Sylvester, and High Octane Coffee, JB Scale Graphics, and also Horizon Hobbies, because they're the ones that also sponsor me on my RC racing gig too. So we'll figure something out.
Yeah, one quick thing before we get to our interview today. I just want to bring up Marty Garza returning to the seat. That is awesome to see. Lining up against Mike Vaughters, like that is such a cool thing, dude. Like, when is the last time that Marty drove a full size truck?
92.
So, like, that's just insane. That's such a cool thing.
It's pretty cool because Tim Hall drove Raminator in Montana too. So, I mean, all the guys are coming back out, in racing trucks and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And hopefully Marty gets back into it. And I think it's pretty cool to have him there. Hopefully he gets another, more chances. But it's awesome just to see him behind the wheel. Because I mean, the last time he drove the truck, he was a champion. So, and he's still a champion. He's a very good innovator. He's a very good person about safety, and he's always there. So, man, that was awesome. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. That's Overkill Evolution. Overkill, John. Marty Garza on Overkill.
This past weekend.
That truck right there.
So, as for this episode, with our guest, Cheech is kind of going to be leading this one. He knows more about this guest than I do, obviously. He knows this guest quite well, and I'm going to ask. Oh, you got Chipotle, didn't you?
Yeah. So my SMRA stuff.
Oh yeah. So, Cheech, why don't you introduce our guest and let's get this thing going, man?
All right. Our guest this week. Oh, and also, by the way, guest, next week, our our next week's guest, I have to chip in, is a crew chief around in our group that we do monthly long. Have you ever seen Kristen Anderson in the beautiful Gravedigger truck? I mean, her. Well, anyway. And you see the person who wrenches behind it. It's none other than Mr. Doug White. He's been doing it for quite a few years in the Monster Jam world as a crew chief. So we're going to interview him and talk about stories and stuff like that for him. So next week is Doug White. But today, I did some scheduling conflicts and because of last week, John Zimmer Jr. couldn't make it, but Jeff Burzy popped in and fill in the void. So we're kind of like backtracking. But this guy was supposed to be in for this week. And he has done everything in the monster truck world. Worked with the Hall Brothers, worked with Monster Jam, had his own monster truck. Found one of the coolest monster trucks out there. At the time, the battery for the Exciter is a tongue twister, but it was cool to hear the stories from him and all the stuff that he has done. And outside of that too, he worked on NASCAR cars. And he also does a lot of Mike West Transformer stuff. If you saw Megasaurus or Transaurus and stuff like that, he worked on those stuff also. And yeah, if you were wondering if you saw Megasaurus on Monster Truck Show, he was probably the one inside that tank box controlling everything. But that's none other than Mr. Travis Howard. What's up, Travis?
Are you there?
How's it going, bud? Hey, Travis, you there?
Oh, Ohio. I'm here. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
There we go.
What's going on, man? Yeah, we got you.
Where you at?
Uh-oh. He's What's happening, man?
Happy to be here.
So let's go back.
Oh, another day in paradise. Working on old junk trucks.
let's go back in time. And how did you get into the monster truck world? Was it by accident, or were you always a fan of it?
Actually, I kind of planned it that way. I was in there with several other different types of racing, and I found out they pay you to show up with a monster truck. So I thought, this sounds like something I want to do. So I started hanging around monster truck shows and doing the things that all the guys do, and helping people out whenever I could, and helping the promoters. I did several shows with Paul Schaefer as like a show organizer, I don't know, they show direct, but I kind of behind the scenes, put everything together and make the show go kind of as planned. Those were back in the Archie Kaufman days when, he would have 17 different acts and the show would start at 7:30 at night and be over at 1 o'clock in the morning and things like that. Archie Kaufman was a cool old guy from Central Kentucky, I believe. And Tim Hall has some stories about him. But,
Archie,
he did a show in Cincinnati, and we were doing. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Am I still on here? Hello?
Yeah. You're good.
Okay. So anyway, we're doing this show in right outside of Cincinnati. Show right outside of Cincinnati, Mark, and of course Archie and all his crazy guys, and there was a stunt guy, and I don't remember the stunt guy's name, but he's a booth, and he turned around and thought he had shut the microphone off, and Archie over the loudspeaker goes, "Come on, guys, let's get this guy what the hell he needs to get this show over with." Right over the loudspeaker. And he had this outlaw, whatever this guy was, stunts. So the guy took a car and he leaned it up on its side and he put a 2x4 in it to hold it up on its side, and then he took a demolition derby car and he'd light the car on fire and take a demolition derby car come around the backside and hit the 2x4, and it looked like it fell over on his, and then they tow the car off. Well, they put so much gasoline on it, the track was on. And they went in monster trucks with this spot of gas burning on the track. But that was in the old days. Long time. Well, actually, that was back when I worked for Hall Brothers. But the old days was when I worked with Archie Kaufman and Paul Schaefer and some of those guys.
Was Archie the guy that said, watch out?
Where am I at here?
Yeah. Archie was the guy that always said, like, get back.
That's where I got the name Get Back for my shop.
Oh, all right. Because Mark says that all the time. Get back.
He always found out who his wife was. Yeah. That's Archie.
Now, there was wasn't there a story about
quite the character. Great guy.
That stunt driver? Oh, sorry, Travis. There was a story about a stunt driver and his brother or someone was driving the truck or the car, and the guy was going so slow that he was yelling "go, go, go," and he thought he was saying slow, so he was going really slow.
Oh yeah, he's yelling that over the loudspeaker. Yeah. That was a long time ago. And of course, we had the late great George Eisenhart. I did a bunch of stuff with him, some pre-show stuff, and I'd fly out to some of his events and get everything ready for when the show on showed up. I was in Wisconsin one time for George, helping get everything scheduled and signed for the cars and get all the equipment taken care of and all that. The night before the show, Kenny Chesney was on stage. So I had been hanging out there at the show all day and backstage and everything. And right in the middle of the concert, I heard the guy say, "If you have to tackle me, go ahead, but I'm going out on stage." And he goes, "No, you can't do that." And I said, "The hell I can't." I walked right out on stage. Well, Kenny Chesney looks over and sees me standing there, and he walks down the front of the stage and he gets all these like stuffed animals and flowers and cards and shit from his fans that are all handing him all this shit to. And he turns around and looks at me and he hands me all the cards, and I turned around and walked right off the stage like I was supposed to be there. That was a good time.
Oh my. So so the next time you were you connected, did you get introduced to Mike West, or that's when you started working for the Hall Brothers?
Well, actually, I worked for a guy named Steve Hurley. He had a called Freakman. It's the one that broke the floor. And I think it was Jailbreaker when it broke the floor. And he had a Godzilla truck. Well, he had a breakup in his relationship, and he took me on the road to Canada for like 6 weeks. And that was crazy times, to put it lightly. It was a little ridiculous at points. But anyway, I had a good time. Thought it was great. Finished out that tour in Bloomsburg, Illinois, or Pennsylvania, with Steve, and I had known the Hall Brothers from being in the MTRA and been around them when they were in Columbus and working with George Eisenhart and all that kind of stuff. So and Dan Patrick lives not real far from me. So when I started getting involved in monster trucks, I kind of leaned on him quite a bit on, I do this, who do I talk to? Who do I stay away from? This truck's for sale. Is it worth buying? That kind of thing. And that led to me heading off with Steve Hurley. Well, after we left Bloomsburg, I don't know, a couple weeks after that, Tim Hall gave me a call. Said, out of all the people in the country, your name came up. They had already booked Patrick and George Eisenhart. So evidently, they gave me a blessing. Talked for long before went to work for them. He gave me a shot, gave me the opportunity, and boy, I learned a ton, and I had a great time. And those are some great dudes. The Hall brothers are a class act from the word go. Everything they do is top notch, and I still love them to pieces. But then I went when the Dodge deal kind of backed off because the economy backed off. I got a call from Monster Jam, and I did I did one season of TV production with NFL TV Network and Tuesday, Thursday football games. And then Mike Wales called me, and I went to there and hung out there for quite a while. Moved to North Carolina. Had a roommate named Cheech at one time, I think.
So,
but yeah,
and then you went back with Hall Brothers, right?
Cool. We had a lot of good times at home. What's that?
So then you went back with the Hall Brothers, right?
The Hall Brothers for a little while, and then Monster Jam. Yeah.
So how did you get connected with Mike West then?
I think about a year, and then I went back to Monster Jam. Well, he was working with George Eisenhart. He was doing the jet-powered stuff with George Eisenhart stuff. And then when Monster Jam, I left Monster Jam, they wanted me to move to Florida, and my grandpa was getting old. He owns a huge electrical contracting business. And then it was time for me to move home. My kids started having kids, and grandpa was there. And so then when I moved back to Ohio full time, Mike West gave me a call and asked me to help him with the jars and all that. So I did that from like 2012 all the way up until when he sold Megasaurus.
Wow, that's crazy. So when you got called by Mike Wales to work for Monster Jam, did he have a type of job for you to do, or because normally he doesn't just randomly call people? He has an idea, or he knows someone that can do something. And what was the game plan for you with Monster Jam?
What had happened was I had met Twig, Jesse. I met Jesse Bart, worked for George Eisenhart. And then he went to Monster Jam as a crew chief or crew guy, and ended up as a crew chief. And we talked quite a bit, kind of like you talk to everybody around the industry. Well, there was a person at Monster Jam that didn't get along with Medusa when she had her first Monster Jam, and they had a falling out, and she quit driving for him. Well, the day that he got let go, they recontacted Medusa because she, to drive the monster truck, and they are early November, middle of November, looking for a crew to put with Medusa. And that's how Twig got a hold of me, and then and asked me if it'd be okay to give Mike Wales my number, and I said of course. And then he called me, and it wasn't long after that I was heading to Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina.
Right on. And I never met Twig, but I heard a lot of good stories from him, from Jim Rossini, from Becky McDonough. Everything when I was working for Monster Jam was everything positive vibes from the guy, and they still talk about him today. So he left a very big impact.
Yeah, it's he did for a young guy. He left a huge impact. He was a great dude.
And so when you normally when you're sometimes when you're close friends like with Twig or stuff like that, sometimes the company is nice enough for you guys to tour together. Did that happen a lot with normally the main truck, and you would have the second truck, or main truck, you guys would tour together in a trailer? Did that happen a lot?
I don't know that Twig and I actually toured in a trailer together, but we did a lot of Europe tour together, and those things, man, it's it's like a big soup. You throw all the trucks in one pile and put all the technicians in another pile, and then all of a sudden you dump it all together, and everybody works on everything until it's all done and ready to go for the next show. And then everybody associates and has all the camaraderie, and you don't really tour a whole bunch while you're over there. You're just kind of like the stadium and the hotel. So you're kind of like roommates with however many 20 or 30 people that they send you over there with. You're kind of like roommates for a month. And we did that quite a bit.
So I do have a question to ask. I've been thinking of something to ask. So, going from, a team like Hall Brothers and working with George Eisenhart to going to a massive company like Monster Jam, what was that like for you? Was it kind of a culture shock, or was it, you just kind of took it in stride?
It was fairly easy to adapt. It was definitely different because, you got one team that does things their way, and then the other team does things their way. And when you change over from one to the other, and then you see how they do things, and some of them are, it's kind of like any new job, I guess. You just adapt to it and you keep on going. When I went down to North Carolina on Tuesday in my Jeep Cherokee with all my tools in it, and got out of the Jeep, stayed in the hotel for 2 days, got out of the Jeep on Thursday morning and loaded Medusa's truck and went to Canada. So there wasn't, and everybody else already out on first quarter. So my first season, I didn't really even meet any of my coworkers until I got out on the road 2 days after I got to North Carolina. But, I didn't even meet Medusa until she showed up to drive the truck. So I was kind of a last minute shoe-in for that whole first quarter.
So then you went back to Hall Brothers, and the experience that the stories, I don't know if it was at the first term or the second one, but when did the brothers get accurate with these NASCAR display cars, and how did you get yourself into working those cars during the time, doing the displays and stuff like that?
Well, Hall Brothers had a display program where we had they have a trailer that hauls a NASCAR car in the front, and then the monster truck in the back, and the tires go underneath of a NASCAR car. Well, with Dodge, we did a bunch of events all over the country that we would do these big displays, like at a NASCAR race or something, or a farm show or whatever, and we would basically babysit the display car for Dodge. And we also Hall Brothers owned their display truck. And it was, there was countless farm shows and NASCAR events. There was a couple of years where we actually had another trailer that was like their display and sound and all that stuff, a gooseneck that we put behind a dually, and then we put all that on display also. And it was all part of the Dodge program. And they took really good care of us. And they had, of course, that NASCAR car you're talking about, they sent it down to one of the NASCAR shops. It was a display car, and they sent it down to one of the NASCAR shops because the motor had went bad. So the Everingham motor in it, and sent the Dodge display program an invoice for like $43,000. So it was really no slouch. It would run pretty well.
So
they put a full
NASCAR
motor in it.
So when you get one display car, how did they contact you, like saying, well, like, okay, we're done with this car? Because there was a few times that you guys were doing displays with the NASCAR truck also, right?
Yeah. They would choose that, and they'd switch that in and out. That's a relationship between Dodge and the Hall Brothers, that they would, 1 year we'd do this, and then like when we had a NASCAR truck, it was red when it started out. Well, then they came out with that Mopar, black and white Mopar paint job with the big blue M on it and all the barbed wire everywhere. So we sent it over to our local paint guy that did our monster truck bodies at the time, and he repainted it. And then they sent us the vinyl, and I put all the vinyl on it. And the crazy thing was later on, it was all provided by Competition Graphics. Well, Competition Graphics had a big showroom in their foyer area, their offices, and we did the paint and all the decals on that truck. And when it went back after they retired it to go to Competition Graphics, they gave us a car. And then I went by there one day, and it was sitting in their foyer. The NASCAR truck that we put the decals on was sitting in their foyer. And I thought that was a pretty big compliment that we did such a good job on getting it prepared that they were bragging that it was a product that they had been involved. So that was kind of a big pat on the back, being we were just monster truck guys, you know. When I say just monster truck guys, there's nothing just about a monster truck, but everybody looks and finds the NASCAR guys and the drag racing guys, and us monster truck guys are out here plugging away at it too.
So
you got a question there, Brad?
Yeah, I was just wanting to touch on some of the stuff with Mike West and the Transformers and such, because we've talked to I believe it was it Dave Wyzorek who was building some recently? I think it was Cheech.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we talked to Dave Wyzorek about that. What is it like running those, and kind of what's it like? Because I've always wondered, other just the experience of crushing the car and with the jaws, what's that experience like for you?
The cool part about that whole thing is nobody signs autographs. When you do a pit party, you take it out there and park it and smile and wave and then head off to the camper to hang out until the pit party's over with. And then you do the fire show and you eat the car and then you pack it up and go to the hotel room. You don't have to hang out till 2 a.m. signing autographs or breaking. We had a couple incidences where some things went wrong and we had to fix those, but typically Mike had that stuff in such tight order that all we really did was show up and wipe it off and then put it on display and then load it up and go home, because they're pretty straightforward mechanically, and it doesn't really, they're built so that it's not really taxing the system on the inside to eat a car. I mean, that thing could pick up probably 3 times what those little cars weigh, and it could rip them in half, and it was really nice equipment, and it was really good time, and he really took good care of his stuff.
So always, people may know the prep of the cars and stuff like that for you guys, but is there any pre-prep? I know Mike at a top tier equipment. Let's just say you get to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio, and you get the truck you get the dinosaur all ready to go. Is there any prep while you're there to get ready for the show outside of modifying the car?
Well, you got to make sure the battery and the fuel tanks are out of the cars, and depending on what's going on with the glass, a lot of times you'll roll the windows down and get them inside the door, or they'll have the glass out of them already. Depending on what the floor situation is, time, all that kind of stuff, you gotta go through and get all the things out of them, and then occasionally somebody will come by and put a car seat with a baby doll in it, and when you freaking eat the car, it falls out on the floor.
That's crazy. That's another question I wanted to ask is, what's the craziest thing that happened? You're doing your thing and then someone put something in the car, and you ever got startled? You're in there what the heck was that? And then you continue on to what you need to do.
The baby in the car seat was probably the funniest thing. I mean, some of those cars come in there and they're loaded full of garbage and everything else. You got to get all that stuff out. Occasionally you miss something, but we never really had anything super crazy.
What's the craziest thing you have ate? Like a house or an airplane or Something unusual? What's the most unusual thing?
No, Mike does all the fancy stuff. Mike did all the high profile gigs. We do the monster shows in Car. I didn't get on like Jay Leno or anything like that. I wasn't on the, Mike did all the high profile stuff with the Transource. But I don't know. We had a good time. Sean and I we used to crack up the whole way there and the whole way home. We'd have each other laughing, giggling in the semi, and just we made the most of it. There was a time when we had to, I don't know, we went from Louisiana to St. Louis and dropped the truck off in St. Louis, and then went back the following weekend and picked it up in St. Louis and went all the way out to I forget, Arkansas or somewhere for another show, and just made it work. You know how it is, doing one day at a time. And I had a full-time job, so I would leave, I'd take Friday off of work, and whenever I got home, and my 3 hours away from me. So I dropped Gene off at his house. I would leave. I left Louisiana before and got back to his house, and then came home and had to be to work on Monday morning. So there was some long trips in there sometimes. Kind of like Burlington, Vermont to Sturgis, South Dakota when I worked for Hall Brothers. There was a time we used to, somebody at Dodge thought it would be a good idea they found out, or they did a study and showed that people that bought high-end minivans, up trucks, bought Harley Davidsons or motorcycles, and they wanted to promote their new products at the motorcycle. So for about 3 or 4 years in a row, primarily they sent just about all the Hall Brothers employees at one time or another, and they sent us to all these like Sturgis and Laconia, New Hampshire, and then we do 2 events at Daytona a year for them, and there was probably 4 or 5 others that I don't even remember right now, but we would travel all over and like throw T-shirts off the stage and all that. Sturgis, South Dakota, they sponsored all the entertainment for the Chip Campground. So we'd be up there before the entertainment came out, and they had a Dodge commercial they'd play in the background, and we'd throw out T-shirts. And somebody along that program thought it'd be a good idea to throw out Mardi Gras beads. Well, that was a good idea for the guy that was passing out the Mardi Gras beads. It made it really, really interesting, to say the least.
We're gonna thank that man.
Well, you also mentioned before we got on the air that that's like Toby Keith tried to come up and do something. They tried to play a Ford commercial, and they were like, not allowed. This is Dodge only.
Yeah, they tried to play a Ford truck commercial, Toby Keith's act, when he was coming on stage. And we're not having that. Stop guys back out again to Ford T-shirt. And yeah, that was interesting. It was sponsored by Ford, and they weren't having any of that. Every different kind of genre you could have. There was like Disturbed and Korn, and then like Journey and there was REO Speedwagon and Heart and the Beach Boys, and there was a bunch of country music acts too, but I just can't remember them all because it was like 10 days in a row and there was a different act every day, and they did it for 4 years. So it's like, there was a good story about Sturgis, South Dakota one time so I was at downtown in the Dodge display program, displaying with all the new Dodge products. And I got a phone call from Twig from Monster Jam, and he says, "Hey, we got this Air Force Afterburner truck that we're going to put on display at the Buffalo Chip Campground." He said, "Is there any way that, we're trying to get a hold of people and nobody's getting a hold of us?" So being we had done that for a while, I got a hold of the lady that owns the Buffalo Chip Campground right away, and she told me, I mean, now you got to understand, traffic out there is ridiculous. So we took it out there at like 2 a.m. and put it on display, the Air Force Afterburner truck, so that all the people got up the next day, or when they were going through there the next day, it was there, and it was there for probably, I think, 4 or 5 days. And so a guy named Scooby and Twig and I got to hang out for like 3 or 4 days at Sturgis, South Dakota, and that was a good time too.
Man, that's awesome. So,
Dodge did
go ahead,
a study
Travis.
about what people see that hit powered by a Hemi. So they came up with this Hemi-powered chainsaw and brought it out, and we went on stage with that band Jackal with the chainsaw song. So that was another interesting event.
Man, that's pretty cool. And then another thing I wanted to know was how did you get yourself into the rebuilt of Gravedigger 11, the ride truck that they had?
Oh, so they had, when Mr. Feld bought Monster Jam, Randy Brown owned the ride truck at that time, and they had this great idea that when we did that deal in East Rutherford, New Jersey, they would wrap it to look like the Gravedigger. And the story I heard was they wrapped it to look like a Gravedigger, and I campaigned it at like 4 events like that. So we took an old Monster Jam trailer and outfitted it with every rock truck, and then it was still blowing at the time. He leased it to Monster Jam for a little while, and I did like 4 or 5 events with it. Well, Mr. Feld was at 2 of those events, and that lease deal was up, so we peeled the vinyl off of it and turned it back into the War Wizard ride truck. And the next event that Mr. Feld went to, he says, where's our Gravedigger ride truck at? So that led to Randy Brown actually selling the ride truck to Monster Jam. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that'll correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the story I heard. And when they did that, they took the body off, and we built a special chassis for the body to ride on, and they sent it up to New Jersey to get painted, and they said it'd be there for about 4 weeks. So I tore it down to bare frame and sent frame and had it powder coated, and it was at powder coat for 3 days. I think it was 3 days to tear it down. It was at powder coat for 2 or 3 days. So I was, prepping all the parts and welding up the headers and getting everything ready to go back together. And I had it in the shop. When I got the chassis back, I had the chassis in the shop for like 3 or 4 days. And after that, I rolled it into the semi-trailer and finished building the whole truck inside of a semi-trailer.
Man,
so
that's pretty cool.
We put all new. We completely put a ton of new parts on it. So and then I campaigned that truck for them for 3 or 4 years before I ended up leaving Mr. Jam.
Right on. And then that's when you became, you knew about Drew, right? Drew Epler, Mandel, I call him, but he lives close to you right now. But that's how I got connected with you when I helped Drew out for that summer in Monster Jam. But that's how you guys got connected, right?
Right. Yeah, that's how I got to know Drew. Turns out his sister lives near me, and when he left, when all that weird stuff happened last year, he left Bigfoot for a stint, and he's living over here by me now. I see him about probably once or twice a month. He's still doing well. So
let's get to the nitty gritty. We already been talking about the exciting part was, how you found one of the coolest old school monster trucks out there, and a lot of people forgot about it, and a lot of people probably thought it was gone or destroyed or axed up, but you came out and you got your hands on the Excite. Dang it.
The
You know what I'm
Excite
talking
Exciter.
Yes, thank you. The Excite Exciter.
Excite battery.
For people,
Excite battery.
yeah,
Exciter.
talk about
So
the story behind it and how did you get your hands with it, and then what happened to it.
I actually have documentation where I tried to buy that truck in like 1998. And then I became a monster truck guy and ran around the world and did all this monster truck stuff. And by the time I left Monster Jam, I was pretty serious about, I wanted to build a shop. So I bought it, moved home, bought a house, and had a shop on it. And I had, the company I work with takes really good care of me, but my grandpa was an electrical contractor, and we have probably 300 or 400 employees right now at that business, and that's where I work. But with that being said, I bought this house with the shop, and not long after that, my fiance now and I were heading out to a friend of hers cousin's house, and we drove right past the shop where I had looked at this monster truck for sale, and it's about an hour away from where I'm now. And I thought, I wonder if it was that barn. I've never seen it anywhere else, but when I saw it in that barn, he built it to be a display for his pulling truck team, and to promote the sponsors, while he would put it right out in the crowd area and let the people climb all over it and everything, and just use it for a display truck. But it also enhanced his display, his sponsor program with the clients that were in for events. So it worked out well for him. But I had never seen that truck ever since I went to look at it at the time when I wanted to buy it in '98. Well, I pulled in the driveway, and it was Sunday morning, and there was nobody there. And I walked up, knocked on the door, and left this card with a note on it in the screen door, and I go to leave, and this Jeep is waiting on me to pull out so he can turn in the driveway. So I back up a little bit and pull over so he can pull up beside me. And he opens the Jeep door, and because it's a rag top and it's got the door shut, and he says, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I came and seen you about a big old truck I had for sale." And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Do you still got that truck?" And he says, "Yes, I do." I said, "Is it still for sale?" And he says, "Yes, it is. Meet me down at the barn." So you pull back out on the road and go 100 yards or so down the road and pull into the barn driveway. And I walked in there, and that same truck was sitting there in the same spot with the same truck cover on it that I had seen many, many, many years before. And him and I talked around about it a little bit. And before I left that day, I had made an agreement that I was going to buy that truck. And about 2 weeks later, I went over and picked it up.
I
and
remember,
it still looked awesome.
I remember watching that the pulling truck on Trucks and Tractor Power, and then I remember I was seeing pictures of it, on Facebook. I'm like, wait a second, I loved how that pulling truck always looked, and there's a monster truck of it. What the heck?
Yeah, that guy had a really good program going there too. He had some really good sponsors, and excuse me, that body was all hand bent sheet metal. There wasn't any fiberglass on it. It was all handmade to look like a stock pickup truck on monster truck tires. So all the sheet metal where it was flared out and rounded for the tires and all that stuff, it was all done by a body man that reshaped the tin to look like a stock pickup truck. And that thing was in immaculate shape. When I got it, I did a bunch of maintenance stuff to it, and literally I took it to the museum. It was pretty close to museum time when I got it, and we had to put a transmission in it, and we had to get the motor running because it hadn't ran in 15 years or so. And so we got new batteries in it, got it all fixed up and ready to go. And when I picked it up out of that barn, it was in such good shape that I took it to the museum before I ever waxed it or wiped it down or power washed it. I never had to power wash it. I just wiped it down for that first museum display. When it was at the museum with the blower motor in it, I wiped it down at the museum from when I picked it up in that guy's barn.
That gotta how do you still remember the feedback when you brought that truck out? Like, were people really thought that truck was gone or disappeared? What was the feedback, if you remember correctly, when you brought it out in the Hall of Fame?
It was the people went crazy over it. I mean, everybody was. It was like straight old school technology, and it was 100% like right out of a time capsule, and everybody just went nuts over it. I mean, it had the old school Vortex magneto. It had the old school Hallenbrandt and some other brand name alcohol and pumps and all stuff. And it was really, it was built the best it could be built at the time. And when I got it, it was the same truck from then, but it was like somebody had just put it in a glass box and then kept it for 15 or 20 years and then opened it back up.
Man. And then there was a story behind that truck when you first built it. Didn't he copy a monster truck to, you said the best parts in general? I know he had it as a display truck, but that truck could have crushed cars if he wanted to, correct? Was there a truck? I remember you were telling me there was a truck blueprint for that truck. Basically, there was an idea for it. What was the truck that it was based off of?
I'm not 100% sure it was Bigfoot 4, but it was one of the Bigfoot trucks. He had sent his son to an event, and they had those little throwaway 35 millimeter cameras. They took like 4 or 5 of those full of pictures of all the underneath and all the chassis and all of the details. They took pictures of everything, and that was how they started. And then he had a sponsorship from a dairy company that made ice cream and stuff, and they had a huge factory here in Columbus, and their maintenance team was who actually started building the chassis and that stuff. They built it in the dairy factory, and then that sponsorship fell out, and they had some legal issues, and he had to end up going to court to get the chassis and stuff back, and then he finished it up there at his shop here in Ohio. But it was like I think 11-inch high, 3-inch wide, 1/2-inch thick C-channel frame that was it was heavy as all get out. And then it had a 2x6 frame under the body, 2x6 square tubing frame under the body for the hydraulics that make the body go up and down. But it was heavy. I mean, put it into a ride. That's when I started realizing how heavy it actually was, because I put another couple thousand pounds on the bed when I built that huge bed, and getting it up and down the highway, I had to haul it on one trailer and then haul the tires and all the equipment and everything else on a whole nother rig. Well, actually, I did. Mike West let me use it to haul to Kentucky one time, and I hauled it all in his trailer. But I never really had a exceptional rig to pull it with. I always I bought an 5-ton international truck, and I used a backhoe trailer from work. And then I had a pickup truck with a car hauler trailer for the tires and everything else.
Man, that's pretty cool stuff. I'll tell you what. So you used it also as a ride truck and stuff like that. But when COVID kind of hit, rough times came about, and a pretty cool guy that helped you start out in this company is right now has that truck in his hands.
Yeah, he does. if I had to sell that truck to any one person in the world, that's the guy I wanted to sell it to. And he was looking to do some things with. So I don't know that he'll come back out with that as a solid one-piece truck. I think it'll end up being used for this project and that. Dan's into all kind of projects, and I think it'll get scattered about a little bit here and there as other projects arise. But you know what? I know it's in great hands, and I know that next time I see it, it'll be just as fabulous as the last time I seen it. Whatever he does with it.
Well, I didn't know it was for sale until I watched a YouTube channel called Side by Side Blog, and I remember I was watching one of their episodes, and all of a sudden I see your truck on there. I'm like, wait a second, like this is meshing two worlds, because the guy on there on Doug really wanted to buy a monster truck, and I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, well, that was the first monster truck they looked at, and maybe owning a monster truck's not for everybody. Maybe it is. I don't know, but I would have liked to sold it to them, but it wasn't really what they were looking for. They were looking for something they could go rip in the sand dunes, and I mean, you could crush cars with it. You could ride around the sand dunes, but if you ever got stuck in a sand dune, you'd be in trouble trying to get it out. It was that heavy. And then it was a lot more, once they realized what it took to own a monster truck, I'm not saying they never will, they probably will end up owning a monster truck at some point in time. But once they came down here and looked at it, and they're like, wow, we got to get another truck, and we got to get a different, we got to get a CDL, and we got to get a way to haul this thing, and all this other stuff. And then it really started, growing on them. And I think they thought they were going to come down here and I was going to have the big tires on it and they were going to jump in it and go for a ride, which, that's a pretty big. Well, that was also in the spring when it was raining like every day for like 4 months. It was terrible.
Yeah, I remember in the video that. It was raining. Yeah, but those are great guys, and I've seen them since and talked to them since, and they're still. I'm a subscriber on their YouTube channel now.
Man, that's pretty cool, and then that having that type of history and stuff like that. But what are you doing today? Are you still you're still with you're the electrical company that you're with, but do you still help out teams a time or two?
I haven't been doing a whole lot lately. Not that I'm not interested in it, just that I've got a bunch of other irons in the fire. I bought a machine shop, and so I'm trying to get some of that stuff set up at my house. I acquired a CNC plasma table, and I'm trying to learn how to run that thing, which is, I'm not the most computer literate guy on earth, so that's a big step for me, is trying to get that thing up and running. And I got some old vehicles I'm working on. I bought an 86 Chevy Dually a month or so ago with 29,000 miles on it. So I'm trying to get it ready to. Actually, I bought a side-by-side and a toy hauler camper, and I've been doing a lot, probably 1 or 2 weekends a month out just relaxing and riding that thing around.
Man, that's pretty cool. Any other questions there, Brad?
Nope. It was awesome being able to, hear about your history in the sport, and, thank you for taking care of one of my favorite looking trucks of all time. There was something about how the Exciter looked. Being a graphic designer, I love the simplicity of it. That's what I think what attracted me to the pulling trucks and the truck that you had. It's just the simplicity of it. It's straight, bare bones, to the point. That's what I loved about it. So, I can't wait to see, what Dan does with it next.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to own that truck, and I'm glad I was part of the history of that thing, because man, it was really a nice piece of equipment, and it's in good hands now. So it'll be fun to see where they go with it.
Yeah, buddy. Well, hopefully, we'll be around. We'll hit you up for a round. I was up north in Lima last weekend.
Actually, I was in West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Down in your neighborhood. You ever been to Danville, West Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
my cousin bought a cabin down there, and we're working on it to go riding it.
Well, yeah, it's that area around there is beautiful. You know, nice wooded areas. Just watch yourself for some black bears, but you'll be all right.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Yep.
you know, once again, Travis, thank you for being on. I'm gonna have you on one time with Tim and hear the stories from you guys. And this is just funny, funny stuff that I hear at the shop.
That would be
yeah. You know, they watch and stuff.
You know, hit me up whenever you.
Yeah, bud, we'll do that. You know that, and we'll do, sir. You know, thank you for being on. Once again, thank you for High Octane Coffee, Joey Sylvester, J Concepts, Jason and Fred, Justin Stories. Once again, take a look at the Making Tracks comic book. That's on Amazon.com, $10 a pop. Also, Back Channel Productions. Take a look at his Renegade Monster Truck videos on YouTube. Also, JB Scale Graphics, 6B Apparel. Take a look at all those guys and help out. Soon to be a giveaway with J Concepts and JB Scale Graphics and Horizon Hobbies. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Next week, where I have the crew chief of the Gravedigger, Kristen Anderson's Gravedigger, Mr. Doug White. We're going to hear some stories from him. And also, please like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Like and share here on Facebook. Also on iTunes and Spotify. You know, iTunes, give us a 5-star like and a review. And also let people know, I think this Friday, I will be on again on the Retro Monster Truck review. It's going to be, I think we're going to talk about Nashville 1999, Nashville Arena. One of the few arena events that we had on television. And we'll review and talk about that stuff. But so once again, guys, thank you for being on. Brad, anything else you want to say? Thank you for the support for Brad too. You know, he's always on a battle somehow or some way. The song "Trouble" always finds him. He doesn't look for trouble. Trouble finds him. But you know what? He's a good heart guy, and you've been going through a lot of stuff, Brad. But you know what? We got this going on, and you know, thank you to all the fans for supporting him.
Yes, thank you guys. You know, it's funny, you turn 30 and everything goes downhill. So,
well, happy birthday to Mike Nugent. He turns 20, so he's about to go up that little climb.
Long way to go before it starts going downhill.
Right. He's just hit puberty. So
yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm gonna clock off of here. I got an issue I gotta go take care of.
Awesome, all right,
Travis.
man. You take care. Thank you again, Travis. Thank you very much. All
right. But yeah, like Cheech was saying, thank you guys for the support. You know, it's definitely been a battle, but we're gonna win it and gonna keep kicking ass. And you know, like I said in the beginning, hopefully me and Cheech will be able to meet up in September at the NHRA US Nationals. And guys, if you have any ideas for me to do around the North Carolina area, I know Digger's Dungeon, but I'm going to be around the Asheville, North Carolina area in September for a couple days.
I have to say, for me there, Brad, I would say try to take a look at any of the NASCAR shops.
I'm hoping
Penske,
so.
Hendrick, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s place. They all have walk-in areas, so you can take a look at the shop. Their gift shops are awesome. Take a look at some of the sprint cars. Casey Kane. When you're not in North Carolina, when you're in in Indianapolis, stop by Gasoline Alley. Stop by John Force's shop, Don Schumacher's shop. I know you're going to John Force's, but I'm just saying,
100%.
Go take a look at that stuff. Right next to, across the street, is Ram Rahal's shop, across the street from John Force, and then off to the back of behind John Force's is a huge Simpson racing shop. So you could take a look at that stuff too. Hines, Ron and Hines, I don't know, motorcycle guys, Hines, their shop's
Vance
there, and
Hines.
also there's a body shop right next to it. They're the same company that do the fiberglass work for Dirt Crew and Quad Chaos. So that's some pretty cool stuff. And you got to take a look at the Speedway. If you have a chance to take a look at Indy, it's like $20, and they take you on a tour. The museum is right smack dab in the track, and then they'll give you a tour, and you'll be able to kiss the bricks. So if you want to try that,
I'm gonna try to fit as much as I can in a 2-day span, being in Indy for only 2 days. So,
but if you have a chance, also go to a cookout.
I wanted to try so much stuff. It's especially with the drinks, they got to be sugar free now. But I'm gonna be definitely documenting the trip, driving all the way from right here in Alberta, Canada, Grand Prairie, all the way to Asheville, North Carolina. So I'm gonna be posting videos, and again, hopefully, me, Cheech can meet up. I can definitely meet Neil Strasberg, who's been on the podcast before, and also Brian Lone. So I would definitely want to meet all you guys and finally experience Nitro, because I've only been to one NHRA race, okay? I went to the 2005 Thunder Valley Nationals, Bristol, Tennessee. Rained out. I sat in John Force's pit all day long in the rain just to meet him. I never got to see any Nitro cars run or anything because of the rain. I will experience nitromethane for the first time in my life, and this will be documented.
And another cool thing is, if Brian Lones is there, he'll. The cool deal is, we gotta have him on soon. But you watch the whole Friday or Saturday the production that you would see on NHRA Live, and then FS1, then Fox. So that's some pretty cool stuff to watch. Thanks to Brad for helping me out to see all that stuff last year during the U.S. Nationals. But Brad, hopefully you can do it, and then hopefully we could see you there and go from there. If you're on the way there, hopefully you could stop by Champaign, take a look at the Hall brothers. The plan.
I want to make a little detour on that the drive, because I don't think Indy's that far from you guys on the way out of the trip.
Only 2 hours away.
Yeah, so I definitely want to make a trip to see the Hall Brothers shop and see what you guys are doing there. And I just saw Damien, our good friend Damien, in the chat there. Damien, I'm going to the U.S. Nationals, so if you want to meet me, come to that show. Come to the U.S. Nationals, bro. Be good to finally meet another one of long-time online dudes.
Just giving a fair warning. If you see Damien, I don't know if he has shaved or not, but if he still hasn't shaved, if you see a guy walking around that looks like a fur coat, that is him with his mustache and beard. That's not a the beard's so all over him that he's not wearing a fur coat. It's just his beard. So you can't miss him. He's like Cousin It, and it's the way it goes.
Only you guys would get this. I wonder how many times we can get him kicked out of the U.S. Nationals. You should remember that night on TeamSpeak back in the day.
Yeah. Well, there's some stories about that boy. Anyway, he's a squirrel, but he's a good squirrel. But once again, folks, next week we're gonna have Doug White on, so that's gonna be cool. And hopefully you can. I found a chip on the ground. And hopefully, you guys can listen to the review that I'm about to do. So, guys, thank you so much for being on. Brad, close her out.
All right, guys. As we always say for the last 6 years, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up, everybody. Peace.
Outro.